Hello, this is Chukes, and you're here in my studio today featuring work from my latest collection titled Identity Theft. Identity Theft is a creation of work featuring more than 65 works of art, including paintings and sculpture. Stay tuned as we go through the work in detail in each episode. The Time Traveler. Well, this is a brand new piece for Identity Theft. This is the first inception for 2023 for Identity Theft. And I wanted to represent where my thinking is at this particular time in terms of knowledge and understanding of self and history. This piece is a representation of man's first inception of understanding that he is here, he is on this earth. And once you grasp that information, you have to find the right things to do with that information and build a civilization around that. And as a time traveler, he may have been in other parts of the universe, but now he's here spreading his knowledge to us. Well, I've been working with the new color process, and all of the pieces from the sculptural pieces are ceramic clay. This piece looks like it's metal, but I had just recently been working on a new process using graphite. And I found a way, after tearing up my fingers, to apply this graphite on this particular piece. So it's all clay, but the face is done in graphite pencil, and I think it really enhances, what this work is. And it's also representative of me thinking outside of the box as an artist, because I could have easily gone back to the materials and the patinas that I'm using, which actually this did have black patina on it, but when I started using the graphite, which is something I did 40 years ago, but I reintroduced it to this new work, it really gave this piece a stronger presence. We always need to challenge ourselves. I mean, you can get familiar with a certain process, and after a while, to me, that gets boring. The older I get, the more I want to explore. And that's with knowledge in general. I mean, the older you get, you may know a lot, but you're never going to know enough, because there's just a multitude of information. And the more you get, the more you can expand and the more you can teach. So that's what this particular piece is about. And I'm giving this the name Time Traveler because his job is not finished. Once he has given the earth what it needs, it's got to move on somewhere else. So that information never ceases to stop. It continues and continues to generations never ending, hopefully. Well, first of all, with sculpture, this has always annoyed me when I show work. They always place it against the wall, and you can never see the back of a piece. But this one has to be placed in the center of whatever environment it's going to be in order to get the full effect of what the time traveler is doing. And so in the back here, I have symbols of certain aspects of life and what we as Africans and African Americans have created in order to give the world civilization, starting here with the arrowhead, which is what we used to feed our family. I mean, that was like our first invention as far as hunters and gatherers and how we fed and nourished our community. So we go from that, and then I chose to use the Venus of Wallendorf. Now, the Venus of Wallendorf is somewhere in Europe. I can't quite remember exactly where it is, Dutch or somewhere. But they show this little symbol of this little woman, a little ceramic piece, which is the oldest known work of art to mankind. I think it's something like 25 or 30,000 years old. And when you see the Venus of Wallendorf and the people that represent it, that piece is represented as a white woman. But if you understand history and you research the migration pattern of people of color, you can obviously see that this was a black woman. If you look at her hair, her body shape, you can see that. But because it was found in Europe, it's thought of as a European woman. Now, I'm not going to sit here and dispute that it is or it isn't, but I researched further, and my understanding of history leads me to believe otherwise. Then we go to this piece right here, which is the first astrological calendar that was recently found, I believe, in Turkey. And it's titled Göbekli Tepe. And they were saying Stonehenge was this huge astrological calendar which dates 5,000 years ago. Well, Göbekli Tepe, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, dates somewhere between 8 to 10,000 years ago. And I recently seen something on the History Channel about Göbekli Tepe. And they had to be truthful about who created this. Now, even though it's in modern day Turkey or Syria, you have to understand who, once again, was migrating that area 8,000 years ago. And when they showed who was migrating and who built Göbekli Tepe, this astrological calendar, they showed black Africans. But the way they showed the black African was at night in dark shadow, so you could not see their features. That is how ignorant and one-sided our history is. They do not want to tell us of the greatness that we have given this world. They want to put us in dark shadows so you can't see that. And they're obviously they were Africans. They knew that they had to show that. That's how our identity has been taken away from us through history. And then we go through the pyramids, and then we go through books, knowledge, paper. We go through the symbol of medicine, travel, which is the boat, the ship. We go through the wheel, which was, once again, who invented the wheel? I mean, they say the Sumerians invented the wheel. But who were the Sumerians? You have to understand your history. Who were the Sumerians? Music, here's a drum. I believe the first flute instrument was like a flute. That's us. Then we go to more modern times, which is the Black Power movement. I'm probably referring to the 60s. And then we can go further than that to the 80s or the 90s, or back probably to the 70s, to the cell phone, which is credited to a black male, once again a black man, who they once again don't really want to give credit to, but and not just that, not that it's not just credited to a black man. You have to understand that all the sources to build and to make this tiny microchips and whatnot, those minerals come from Africa. There are so much resources in Africa that are exploited, and we never get paid for it, or Africans never get paid for it, or get paid very little for it, nor do they get the credit for it. So all of your little computer gadgets, think in terms of where the minerals come from in order for you to use those gadgets. 90% of them come from the continent of Africa. And then we are where we are right now, which is a question mark. Who are we? What are we? What are we willing to learn about ourselves? And what are we willing to teach about ourselves? There's all this knowledge out here. This is proof of it from the time traveler. This is why you have a clock. But you only have so much time as human beings right now to learn that information and pass it on. So don't waste it. The time traveler. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes from the Identity Theft Collection.